Hey guys, today we have an amazing guest. I'm not sure I can pronounce his last name properly, but Nathan Mulder, I think, right?
Yeah, pretty close. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and he is awesome. I can't believe I haven't had him on the channel yet, you guys. You guys have requested him so many times. He has transformed his life. He used to be a huge junk food eater and have a huge addiction to food, and he had health problems. And he's transformed his life through juicing. I think he's done a total of 600 days on juicing. I could be wrong. We'll find out the longest juice fast he did. And juicing and raw foods, from what I know, have totally changed his life. So let's hear his story. Let's get into it. Hey, Nathan, how's it going today?
I'm doing very well. How about yourself?
I'm good. I'm great. I'm in Toronto. It's pretty good weather today, so I can't complain, but I can't wait to hear your story. So I've seen photos of you and how you used to look back in the day, and you look like a completely different person. So what was going on? How did you feel? What led you down your health journey and what happened?
Well, to cut you to the chase, I think I was called king of takeaways in my college dorm days. So that basically led to all kind of health problems and food addiction that was pretty bad, which eventually led me to basically a wild goose chase of diet swapping and trying everything under the sun to fix the food addiction, fix the health problems. Nothing really worked. And eventually, out of desperation, I ended up with fasting, and that did work.
Wow.
And that's most of it. But that was like a journey of 2.5, 3 years of full on trying everything I could and suffering and trying to get it to work, and it didn't, have breakdowns, pain, all this kind of stuff. And eventually changed my entire life around.
Wow. The juice fasting.
Yeah, the juice fasting, but also the raw foods, but
Yeah.
also stepping away from a way of life which I knew just didn't resonate. And it was also in a time where I discovered a lot about the world that didn't resonate.
Hmm.
So it was basically a drastic change. And I can't imagine being like that ever again, or even relating to some of the pictures. It's like a different person.
No, when I see you, I'm just like, who is this? I'll try put some pictures on the screen, or there might be some in the intro. But like, what kept you motivated? Because I know a lot of people might want to be healthy and like reach the levels you've reached, but they have a hard time like giving up those addictions, right? Like, what kept you on track and what kept you motivated? Like, how did you make it work?
Food addiction is a very dark place, and a lot of people don't understand it. I was completely and hopelessly addicted to junk food. And I used it for physical pleasure. I used it to basically numb emotions and feelings. And eventually you get into this cycle where your nightmare is there day and night. When you wake up, you think about food. You want to use it for everything that's happening. You're getting physical problems from it, and I got a lot of them. So it basically starts dominating your life to the point where it's nothing but food. And it's a relationship to food that basically kills you at the same time, whilst also mentally draining you from every piece of happiness you could have. So that kind of motivated me to get out of that. But yeah, like I said, it was falling down, getting back up, falling, it kept going. But I knew that I wanted to get rid of that because like sometimes I just didn't want to continue my life that way. So I knew that I had to get out because I had dreams, I had aspirations, I had things that I wanted to achieve.
Hmm.
Addicted to food is not really going to cut that.
No, it can interfere with so much of your life. And so, what happened what benefits did you notice? Like, what happened when you started juicing?
So the entire journey towards juicing was one of benefits. Just to give people that don't know, when I got to college, I started pouring myself into bodybuilding. Eventually, got to like 220 pounds, which is like 100 kilograms. I poured. Now looking back, I poured all my anger and all my frustration and all my irritations and emotion things into bodybuilding. And when you're bodybuilding, you can get into the bulking mode and you eat a little bit more than you should. And eventually I started thinking, okay, you know what? I could have a treat or two once, twice a week. That turned into 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times a week, and then a couple
Hmm.
times. By the time you basically sled down the entire slope and you hit rock bottom, you're basically too late. You're addicted. So I realized I was physically addicted and then also mentally addicted because I used it as emotional regulation. It was basically the only happy thing I had in my life, which then made me realize, okay, well, it's not a good place to be. And I'm also having a lot of health issues. I had knee pain, back pain, I had indigestion, bloating all the time. It's getting depressed, losing hair. I'm getting teeth problems, chronic fatigue, low energy, you name it. It was
Hmm.
all bad. So I realized, okay, I need to change something. But what can I change? Well, diet was obvious. And I was going to school at the time for sports nutrition and science. I was like, okay, I need to change my diet. So I stopped bodybuilding, changed my diet to vegetarian because at the time I also had a girlfriend who was vegetarian. So she
Hmm.
passed it. That's why I said, hey, great, two birds, one stone, right? I saw some benefits. Saw a little bit better digestion, a little less bloating and stuff like that. So I was like, this is great. But I'm still addicted to food. My food addiction became vegetarian, which was kind of a nightmare that I couldn't really face. So I was
Hmm.
like, okay, focus on the health issues. you know what, maybe this plant-based thing I could try. You know, I just had to cut out dairy. I don't like dairy anyway. So I did that. Again, I saw benefits, but my junk food addiction just became vegan with me, which
Yeah.
was terror because I realized that what's next? I never heard about raw foods or anything like that, or, you know, so I was like, oh God, is this ever going to go away? And it was really a dark place where I was heading with this. And then I think in January of 2017, I discovered John Rose on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
This Texan dude with no shirt on YouTube. And he looked pretty good. And I was like, okay, he has energy. He's supposedly into his 50s, early 60s. And he talked about eating only fruits and vegetables. If I had found that 2 years earlier, I would have said it's a whack job. I won't try it. But
Mm-hmm.
at that point, I'll try everything. I'll dance with the devil. I don't care. I'll do whatever it takes to get
Yeah.
rid of this and these health problems. And he said, if you do this, you'll lose the health problem. Then, you know, it helps with cooked food addiction, which is pretty
Mm-hmm.
close, but not necessarily junk. So I tried that. And when I stuck with it, I saw my health issues decline pretty rapidly. So my digestion improved, my bloating improved, mental clarity came back, energy came back, started sleeping again, feeling better. But there were still periods of binging and purging out of control with food and stuff like that. So then the health problems came back.
Mm-hmm.
This developed cycle of about 2.5 years of this going on, which became worse and worse because when you get the benefits you want, but then you slip back again, it creates a whole nother conundrum of mental terror.
Mm-hmm.
So it became even worse. He was always talking about the juice fast, but at the time I was studying and I had no money. So I was like, yeah, I can't do that, man. Can't do that. Eventually, I got to the point where I had a job, stable income, living on my own. I was like, you know, so I was like, I'm willing to give it a try. And that's when I started the juice fast. It was June 27th, 2019. And I went for 120 days and I pooped out like a conundrum of garbage. It was incredible how much came out of me,
Wow.
like 10 kilograms of stuff, just like I think 22 pounds or something. And the food addiction went away. And that was something I hoped for that. And I planned for that. And I tried all kinds of things, but I didn't know if that would work. But
Mm-hmm.
it did. And a lot of people ask me, like, how did that happen? And how did you even know? And I was like, yeah, how do I even know? So I tried it after the juice fast. It was away. It was really scary to do. And the benefits of it are still here now. Like
See,
digestion,
that's
sleep.
amazing. Yeah, because I know a lot of people think that it's extreme, right? And some people out there think the juicing's too extreme, it'll spiral you the other way. So, like in your case, the juicing has totally, like, possibly saved your life, right? And totally changed your life, like committing to like that first juice fast, you think?
Yeah, that saved my life. Yeah.
Wow. Unbelievable. And how did you feel on that? Like, did you feel amazing on the juice fast, or was it like hell? Was it really hard? Like, how was your experience? I know everyone's is different. Like, I love juice cleansing so much.
For me, I didn't know much about Juice Fest and just some videos of John Rose, but the guy's pretty disoriented with this stuff. It's not really cohesive, so I couldn't really find much. There were no Facebook groups at the time with juicing. Like I run one now, I had like 10K members. That wasn't there. There were no programs. There were no, you know, follow this plan or that. So I had to think it all up myself based on what I could find. So I was basically going into the dark. I didn't really know what's going to happen. So I had expectations, but I went in really low ball. It cannot work. I don't know if he's full of shit or not. You know, he could be going through the drive-through. You don't know.
Mhm.
Just like raw foods is something that I found. I didn't know if it was true, but what he said about raw foods was true. So compared to my first 3 weeks of raw foods, which was hell with cleanse reactions, the juice fast was pretty smooth. I started having good energy. I started having really high mental clarity. I could focus on more things. I started having more time for everything because I needed less sleep. I started so much garbage come out of me, which made me feel pretty bad. But then when it was out, it was better. But a couple of times I had pretty bad cleansing reactions, which, you know, made me curl up in bed or made me even cry to the point that my body hurt a lot. So I was a
Yeah.
complete feeling, but looking back at it now, it totally worked.
Yeah. And I think you're a juice fast coach now, right? Like you help other people. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if like someone's watching and you were to give them some advice, like what's some advice you would give somebody who wants to start a juice fast? Or like also like what are maybe some common mistakes you see people make on a juice fast?
So the first tip I could give is just watch my complete guide to juice fasting on YouTube. Just on
Mm-hmm.
my channel, Nathan Van Muller or Nathan Muller, one of the two. They're basically 3 hours of everything you should do. That was all the information I wanted to know when I wanted to start, but wasn't there. So I
Mm-hmm.
made that. Watch that. And the biggest mistake people make is actually one of the things that I do with my clients specifically is prepare. Before you even start, prepare everything. What are you going to drink? How much? Analyze your body. What are the kind of plans you have to stay out of situations you shouldn't be in the first place? What are you going to do when the cravings are coming for you? How are you going to find support? How are you going to make that all cohesive in a plan that's bespoke to you?
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, drink enough juice.
Mm-hmm.
Most people just don't drink enough. They drink like the caloric content of a 3-year-old girl or boy, and they complain that
Yeah,
they have
so
no
true.
one. No one.
Mm-hmm.
Very important. Then the other tip I can really say that's essential is get support. So when I did my juice fast, the only reason I documented on YouTube because I knew no one did it. I knew no one. I literally they couldn't find anyone. So I was like, I'll make videos, spam them everywhere in comment sections, and then maybe some people watch them. I can talk to people who did it, who were interested in it.
Mm-hmm.
And when you do this, you're on raw foods, right? You've been juicing. So most people, when
Yeah.
they hear that, they think you lost it. They think
Mm-hmm.
you're crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you just stop eating and then drinking juice. They literally think you should go to the asylum. So people don't understand. They can't relate.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you're dealing with food addiction and stuff like that, and you have all these cravings and basically you're
Yeah.
craving your skull, then it's also important. So get support, people you can talk to and connect with that understand what you're going through. Otherwise, it can be very lonely, bro.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And okay, so you did the juice fast. And would you say like it made you feel amazing and it fixed all your health problems, or was it still a journey after that?
Fix most of them. Some things like, for example, with digestion after the juice fast took a while to get back to that. I still had sometimes elimination or skin rashes or stuff like that. And like health issues, health is such a complex thing. Like you have diet and you have health that way, but then you have sleep, stress, social life, any kind of impactful areas of that can impact your health even better or bigger. So did it solve all the ones I had at the time? Yeah. Did it prevent everything else? No. Like
Mm-hmm.
you can get burned out, or you can still get depressed, or you can still get, bum rushed by bad sleep or whatever, or stress. Like stress alone can kill you way quicker than any bad diet can.
Yeah, it's so true. I know that's the thing. Like there's so much more to life than the diet too. I think people just sometimes think it's like all diet. And if things are happening, like it's your diet, but like stress, lack of sleep, like who you surround yourself with, getting sun, being in nature, all these other things, right?
Yeah, they're very important, especially sleep or stress. They can kill you really quickly. And I think a lot of people also, when they do juice fast or they get into raw foods, like there's so much more to life than mangoes and bananas. So it's a big part of your life, but in my case, it's not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I was going to ask you too, like, what do you think when people, like, how have you eaten over the years with raw foods and how has that impacted you? And what do you think when people like just only eat fruit? I know there's a lot of people that like to do that. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, you could maybe make it work, like if you're living somewhere really deep in the tropics where, it's
Mm-hmm.
always available. For me, it never worked long term. I lived in the Netherlands at the time, which is Northern Europe. So in the summer, there's fruit. Some of it is imported, some is not. In the winter, there's nothing, just imported fruits, quality bad. So, trying to do that there is a single ticket to cravings and not feeling great. And then, you're not going to feel great. So I compromise there. But for me, only fruits doesn't work for me. I've tried it a couple times, tried it in Spain, tried it in Asia for a couple of weeks. It can be nice, but eventually I start missing salads or nuts and
Me
seeds
too.
and things. And I feel better when I incorporate that stuff.
Yeah, me too. I love the salads and the greens. And okay, so like, how has your journey been on raw foods? And have you like gone back at all over the last few years? Have you shifted back to cooked food or had animal products or anything like that? Or has it just been like easy peasy since you left the juice fast?
So after my first juice fest, I realized I wanted to start coaching people.
Yeah.
So I was very curious. Like after my first juice fest, I realized, okay, I'm not addicted to junk food anymore. And I've done all the work during the juice fast to, for example, separate emotional usage of food from food and other things. This John Rose guy and Robert Moore said, it's bad for you. This is going to kill you. This is really bad for your digestion. It's going to stick around. And I saw this stuff come out of me. So I tried literally everything under the sun between my first and second juice fast just to see what it would do. So how would bread make me feel? Pasta, pizza,
Hmm.
meats as well. Ice creams, everything, but also trying different ways of eating. So once a day, twice a day, 3 times a day, everything, and putting cooked food at the end, beginning, in the middle, mixing it all up with raw foods. Only trying like everything. I tried everything. I didn't really particularly like all of it. Saw what it did to my body. It was like digesting bricks. It was really different to raw foods, the way
Yeah.
raw food digest. And then I did my second juice fest, and I again saw stuff come out of me, but this time it was more fresh. So I knew it wasn't that long in me. It only took me about 55, 56 days to get clean that time compared to 109 the last time. So I was cut in half. And after that, I knew I want to be on raw foods mainly,
Mm-hmm.
just very raw foods, and still have like some sweet potatoes with my salads, or some broccoli or some
Mm-hmm.
cauliflower, things like that. And for example, when I was in Bali, I tried some of the pizzas there, some of the local food, things like
Mm-hmm.
that. So for me, coming from food addiction, I talk about food freedom all the time on my channel and on my Instagram. It means that I'm not afraid of food. It means I can eat whatever I want without having the fear there of losing control, which is not present anymore. So when you're somewhere in a culture, it's nice to get a grip with that food too.
Yeah.
I just feel so much better with raw foods most of the time.
Me too. It's like such a huge difference. And I wonder, I always love asking people this, but like I wonder where you'd be if you didn't start this path. Like if you know, looking at you before, like your photos and how your life was before, if you never started the juicing or the raw foods, like I wonder where you'd be today, you know? It's like thank God, right?
I probably would have gotten colon cancer and died, I think.
Crazy.
I don't
And
think it would have went well, especially because I was getting really depressed. Sometimes I was suicidal because of the food addiction and stuff. I think it wouldn't have gone pretty good. And the juicing itself, and basically coaching people and helping them overcome food addiction with juicing, it changed my life to such degrees. And I was able to travel and live a completely different life that I have absolutely no idea what would have happened, but I guess, but it's so different. I can't even relate to it anymore.
yeah, yeah, I was gonna ask you how, because I feel like with a lot of people, with me included, going raw and juicing has totally changed my whole life. Like now I'm full time on YouTube, following my passion, following my purpose. It's changed a lot of the people in my life and changed just so much of my life, right? From how I've chosen to eat, literally just how I've chosen to like nurture myself and juice and eat. And it's totally shifted my whole life. So it's done that for you too, then, right? Like it's totally changed your career, the people you surround yourself with, all sorts of other things.
Yeah, it changed everything. So when I did my juice fast, I was working an office job, basically just watching the paint dry and stuff like that, but being on the way with public transport too. I hated that. I hated that. I felt like this is not the way to live. This is
Mm-hmm.
not how I want my life. I want different things. And the juice fest itself literally opened the door to doing all those different things. And then the health and just seeing so much of the world. And like the people I work with, I love too. Almost all my clients end up becoming friends, some of them very close friends. It's so different. And sometimes I just can't fathom like what would have happened or how would it be different. But just this way in its quality of life, yeah, it's great.
Yeah, and coming from a bodybuilding background, were you always like before, were you like protein, protein, like gotta get that protein? And what do you say if people ask you like, where do you get your protein now? What are your thoughts on the whole protein thing now?
So the reason I started bodybuilding because I was bullied in school, high school. I was
Oh,
thrown into the locker rooms and in showers and stuff. I hated that. So I started
hmm.
bodybuilding and started getting into it pretty big. I ate a lot of protein, a lot of protein. The funny thing is, when I got into like college and I got into sports nutrition, they started to explain to me like you don't need that much protein as you think, which was completely random to me because it was basically a school where all the professional Dutch athletes
Hmm.
went to school as well, so they could
Hmm.
skip curriculum sport all the time. So I started experimenting, lowering my protein, seeing if I could still build muscle and stuff. So in the end of my bodybuilding time, I wasn't eating that much, 100 grams of protein. That's cooked protein. That's what the values in nutrition when you cook it.
Hmm.
Because I remember cooking chicken cutlet and like it was literally evaporating in front of my eyes and shrinking and stuff like that. And then I realized I don't need as much at all. And then I was 220, so 100 kilograms, 96. You know, if you eventually get down to like 140, you don't need as much.
Hmm.
Plus, a lot of people are protein obsessed, but actually, what I found was the biggest difference in bodybuilding and building muscle was carbs,
Hmm.
calories and carbs, not
Hmm.
necessarily protein. Your body will literally even sacrifice its own lean body mass to create carbs.
Hmm.
That was the thing. But yeah, you can build quite a lot of muscle in raw foods, but I do believe that you can build more with cook and more protein.
Hmm.
Just got more protein. That is eventually something that will build more muscle. There's some guys out there that are pretty muscular with raw foods and stuff, but having been to that extreme with bodybuilding, I've been there, done that, so I'm not really that interested anymore or having a lot of
Yeah.
muscle. And last year, I actually got an elbow injury, so I couldn't work out and lost quite some muscle as well. And then it really changed your perspective on what's important. Like I feel fine in my body now, which is a
Hmm.
totally thing of a year ago.
Yeah. And you look great. And I was gonna
Thank
ask you, I think I saw a video or I saw you say somewhere that when you were 24, like before everything, you felt like a grandpa. Like you felt like a grandpa at 24. So
you.
how old are you now? And like, how do you feel? Like, how's your quality of life? How's your energy? How do you feel now?
I'm 31 now. at 24, I had so much back pain and knee pain, and I felt like a slouch. Like I literally felt like my grandpa felt probably the last couple of months of his life. It's like, this is not right. I
Mm-hmm.
was completely destroyed. After the juice fasting, everything, it was really, really good, really high.
Mm-hmm.
Especially the period after my second juice fast, it was so amazing. But then as I started traveling and things, and life starts happening, and you age, and you learn more about yourself and things, and working a lot as well, I sometimes got in positions where I had a lot of pressure, put a lot of pressure upon me, got into stress and stuff, and then it started to decline.
Mm-hmm.
Recently, like this year, a lot of for me happened. So, like I said before, diet is one thing, but sleep and stress and all this kind of thing that can get you down too. But when all of that is in control, yeah, it was great.
Mm-hmm. And what do you currently eat in a day?
Hmm?
What are you currently eating in a day? Like, how's your daily menu now?
So I start my first meal. This is also what I teach my clients after the juice fast. I basically have 2 meals of fruit or smoothie, and then I have a salad. So my first meal is just fruit. Today was
Mm-hmm.
cherimoya. Second meal is smoothie, so a bunch of bananas and greens, and then frozen fruit. Then I throw some chia seeds or whatever in there. And then at night is a big salad with avocado and maybe some sweet potato, broccoli if I feel like it. And if I'm
Yeah.
lazy, I don't.
Yeah. That sounds good. And is there anything like you seem like you know a lot. Is there anything looking back now with everything you learned, you feel like you'd do differently if you were to start over? Like with the raw foods or the juicing?
Yeah, so I wouldn't have switched as rapidly as I did to raw foods. I basically went from like vegan, full-on junk food binging to raw foods. So that was kind of
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
the 3 weeks of cleanse reaction hell. And I say that lightly, but I had like mucus pouring out of my eyes, out of my mouth, out of my nose. I couldn't
Wow.
sleep, itching everywhere. I had swollen toes and stuff that were puffy. It was pretty bad. I wouldn't do that. What I probably would have done is just did raw till 4 for a little while and then slowly transition more. And with the juicing, there's things I would do differently now, which is also my complete guide to juice fasting or on specific things videos where I
Mm-hmm.
talk about juice, but I didn't know them at the time, but I would definitely prepare differently, definitely
Yeah.
incorporate different juices, have more support and things like that. But some of them were not available to me. But yeah, I would have gone way slower. But it's my character. If I want to do something, I'll do it all the way,
Yeah, me
uh,
too.
which means sometimes go to the extremes. So
Yeah.
it all went the way it went, and it eventually landed me here. So I'm happy with that. But yeah, I would have done it a little slower.
Yeah. And did you get out any parasites? Like, have you seen any parasites over the years or done any parasite cleansing?
I had no parasites on my juice fest. Like one weird thing came out where I was like, "Is that a parasite or not?" I don't know. Considering all the binging and all the junk food addiction and all the cravings and stuff, I'm still amazed by that. But I had none. But I've had clients who literally had like a feet or foot long or 2 feet long parasites come on. They're dead.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them
Mm-hmm.
smaller and alive. It's crazy stuff. I've personally had none, but all my clients, almost all of them, have them.
Yeah, I've
Um,
had crazy parasites come out too. It's crazy. Yeah.
and the thing is with parasites, they can influence you craving wise. They can make you crave specific foods. They can release neurotoxins that really screw up your brain or make you feel really bad. And then, you go to food and stuff like that. They call us intelligent life forms, right? So that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But there's a lot. I think almost all people have parasites.
Yeah. Me too. I think so too. It's crazy.
Almost.
And okay, so like where do you think you're headed from here? How do you think your health journey can still evolve from here?
For me now, physically, I'm fine. I don't really feel like I want to focus too much more on deep cleansing or healing or whatever, unless something pops up that I'm like, okay, I want to try more. Like 600 days of combined juice fasting. I've done so many juice fasts. I've done a lot of dry fasting too. Dabbled a bit in water fasting. Did a lot of intermittent fasting. Like I really feel there's anything really there that I should focus on right now. What
Mm-hmm.
I'm mainly focusing on now is the inner journey.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I noticed when I did my juice fast and eventually got rid of the food addiction, where you suppress all this stuff. And during your juice fast, it comes up, you identify it. Then there's a whole bucket load of trauma. There's a whole bucket load of, I would say, patterns and programming from your past, including the traumas, but also generational things, and that I start working on. This
Mm-hmm.
is the same for my friends as well. And I always say your relationship to food starts in childhood and it's passed on by your parents. That's what I'm mainly focusing on now. And now I can because I'm not suppressing and I'm not pushing it away.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my main focus now. And with that comes a lot of physical reactions too. It's incredible when you, for example, do a juice fast, and especially my clients in my program, when they Stop suppressing all this stuff that they've suppressed for years and decades. When our clients were 70, we've done this for 7 decades. Coming up, and when these emotions come up, you have physical releases too. And when you have physical releases, you have emotional releases, and this is just the surface. So much suppressed emotions, suppressed trauma, suppressed stuff inside of there that then can finally come out. And this is why it's important to work on that too. And this is why, for me, I used to juice fast with my clients too, but for myself, I did as well, is clean your body in the sense of clean your bowels so that you can absorb your foods again and, eliminate properly. Get rid of any dependencies you have on anything, including food, and then start bettering your life from there. Then you're free, and then you're working all this stuff that's underneath. And for me, it's been years, and it's still going on. Maybe we'll never end up.
Wow.
Keeps stuff.
Yeah. And I think that can be hard. I think when people juice cleanse or they go to the raw foods and they're leaving like a food addiction, it can be hard facing those emotional moments. It's hard for them to mentally and physically deal with those and not just go back to the other foods. Like, do you have any other tips or advice for those moments where people are just like, oh, I want to give up this juice fast or give up eating clean and just like grab that cookie or those chips or like,
Well, then you're just boo-boo the fool and you're playing yourself because you have to break it completely. So with food addiction, there's the physical side, there's the mental side. You have to understand cravings are mental and physical. At a certain point in the juice fast, you get to the point where the physical cravings are gone, unless you're coming out.
Yeah.
You don't really feel hungry. You don't have any desire to eat. That passes really quickly, usually within a week. Then it's just mental. And it's usually emotional triggers, all kinds of other triggers happening in your life, stress, social life, work, whatever. You need strategies, you need plans to deal with those and neutralize them because they don't last that long. A couple of minutes at the but we have impulses built in over years of doing this, where we basically just go for it. So I have my clients build strategies for that to make sure that you mitigate them and you can prepare for them because you've been dealing with them for decades.
Yeah.
Then you just push through that and take it day by day and make sure you drink enough juice so you don't get any physical needs that you're not meeting. So, the body's clever. If you don't get the nutrients in, if you don't get the calories in, your body's going to bitch. I want that. Give me more juice. Yeah, I'm not drinking juice. Okay, then give me this, give me that. Where the salt, where the fat, everything. And then it's going to go bad really quickly. So that's the first side, the physical and the mental. Have all these things prepared. Make sure you have strategies for situations. How do I get out? How do I make sure that I'm prepared? How do I make sure that I don't get triggered? How do I make sure that I don't get into these craving situations? How do I make sure that I don't bite? Here's the thing. Once you slip up once, you're going to say to hell with it all. You don't want that. So rule number one for my clients is you don't put yourself in a position where you shouldn't have been in the first place.
Exactly. I love that. So true. And with the juice fasting, like how did you, when you've done your juice fast, how did you personally know like this is time to stop? Or like how did you decide how long to do?
That was an interesting question because I didn't know. All I knew was like what John Rose told me, like, yeah, well, you'll be clean and then nothing comes out. I was like, yeah, that's kind of abstract. I don't really know what that means.
Yeah.
Documented everything to the T, like how much is coming out of me, what's coming out, how am I feeling, etc. At a certain point, solid thing stopped for like 8 or 9 days. And I was like, okay, is more coming or not? Or, am I done now? I didn't know. So I made a video and a bunch of people put some comments down there, still didn't know. And then I just felt like I'm done, probably done. And the funny thing was when I made my first video, a dog showed up. And then when I made the video asking for help, the same dog showed up again. So I was like, this is a sign from life, universe. So I was like, nothing's come out. I'll just try this prune test thing, which he told me. So I tried it and I passed it and he actually commented on there. So that's when I knew I stopped. And with the food addiction, I didn't know if it had succeeded, but I thought it did because I could walk by snack bars. I could walk by fast food joints and I didn't feel the pull anymore. And I didn't feel any need for food to press down emotions because I got other emotional regulation tools I used. So stopping from a physical point, when you clean, nothing's coming out, just watery or mushy stuff, then, it stops thinking and stop being really bad. And then from an addiction point of view, it's literally just when you're like, I'm good now. I don't need food to do anything.
Yeah.
But I did try, I tested after like, I think 8 or 9 days of breaking the fast. I tried junk food just to see what it would do. It was a nightmare situation, but I realized I'm not addicted anymore, which was a big relief, a very big relief. Like I felt like I had saved my life and saved the life of and stuff like that and saved world hunger and solved the questions of the universe, which of course I didn't, but that's how it felt. I was like, wow, it worked. Wait a minute, I need to help you.
And it must have been such a huge difference in how you felt eating that, right? On like that day 9, you must, after doing the juice fast and eating so healthy, you must have noticed a huge difference in how you physically and mentally
Uh,
felt, right? Like that's my drive to eat clean and juice and everything because I just feel like light years better on it versus like cooked food or packaged food or any of that food, right?
it was really, really bad when I tried it. I remember ordering it, being kind of anxious because I'm like, this could go completely wrong, but I need to know. Curiosity kills the cat.
Yeah.
And it got in, I smelled it, ordered it. You can order anything in the Netherlands, just delivered at your door. And I ordered it, I smelled it, I was like, oh, it's disgusting. And then I knew, oh, I'm probably sick because it smells disgusting. Before that stuff would make me go wild. And I took a couple bites and I instantly noticed, I don't want to eat this. It tastes like nothing. It's really weird. Like when you come back from juicing, you reset your taste buds sort of.
Mm-hmm.
So everything tastes after juicing like it tastes different. Just the sensation of chewing alone, like it's really weird. Chewing, but
Mm-hmm.
then
Yeah.
tastes good. That felt like some kind of wonky scientist in a lab had tried to make 15 flavors pulsed into one. It didn't feel natural. So that was my first reaction. It tasted chemical.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started eating it and I started sweating. I started sweating in places where my hair had started receding. I found that interesting. And then I just started
Mm-hmm.
sweating where my heartbeat started racing. Then when it was in my stomach, it felt like an acid brick. It
Mm-hmm.
moved slowly and then couldn't sleep at night and like felt like a herd of elephants had a dance event on my spine. That's how bad it felt. So it was a nightmare. I didn't want to go back.
Yeah. And
It
it's
was a
the
good.
mental health. It really plays a part in our mental health too. I like eating that stuff versus eating the clean food.
Yeah, what you're basically doing is putting very low vibrational food into your body, and that affects it heavily. That's the nice thing about a juice fast is you're pumping yourself full of so much very easy to absorb
Mm-hmm.
things that give you a lot of energy, which makes you feel very good.
Mm-hmm.
But that, even juicing compared to eating is totally different. You can get pretty close to that sense of energy and clear-headedness and focus, but you won't get there with even with raw foods. You can get
Yeah.
pretty. But if you start eating junk or just packaged foods or anything like that, you instantly notice a drop.
Mm-hmm. Big
All my
time.
clients, I tell them like you'll probably go back to some of it just to try, and you'll instantly feel like I don't want to eat it anyway, physically.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You'll feel it too. And this is also a thing that I really advise anyone watching this. If you're dealing with food addiction, you have to understand you can't eat your way out of it. It would be the same as an alcoholic trying to drink his way out of alcohol. It's not going to work. Like you can't switch from vodka that you're addicted to beer, and then you're going to fix it. It's going to come back. Just like with a cigarette addiction. You're not going to go to your favorite cigar club continuously if you want to stop smoking. You have
Mm-hmm.
to completely break it at the root, at the core, and then also figure out why you're addicted to it and why you're using it.
Mm-hmm.
It's with food. You can't. I did this for years, right? Tried to eat my way out, tried to fast my way out, panic attack, juice fasting for short bits. It doesn't work. You have to stop completely.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way to do that is either water fasting, fasting, or juicing. The first two, you can't really do anything in life, and I had shit to do in life, so
Me
juicing
too.
was
Yeah. Yeah.
that energy. And then you need to break that physical addiction to it, which is the first step, and then you got to find out why you're using
Mm-hmm.
it, doing with it. What are you suppressing, and why? And which situations make you go there? Which situations make you trigger? Because that all harks back to your childhood and stuff like that that I talked about before. You have to change it on both ends. And when you then do a juice fast, then you solve it. But this is why so many people are never ending cycles of juice fasting.
Yeah.
It never ends. You could do a 500-day juice fast. If you don't change your relationship to food, you're going to go back to that stuff because you use it for a specific thing.
So true.
Um, and this is what I focus on with my clients as well. So many of them have done endless juice fast. And then I tell them, like, this is the one you're going to do once and for all. Yes, we're
Mm-hmm.
going to clean the body. Yes, we're going to rehydrate it. That's going to happen naturally if you do it right. You got to change that relationship to food. If not, you're going to go back to binge city. You don't want to be an inhabitant there for the rest of your life. You don't want to be, you
No.
don't want to get sick. You definitely don't want to have your kids there. So you want to get out of that mess. So change your relationship to food. And that literally means stop using food as an emotional regulation tool. Start using something else for that. You have to do
Mm-hmm.
this while you're doing it. If not, you're going to go back. And remember, binging is not just junk food and stuff, right? I know so many people that are binging avocados and nuts and seeds. Just like I said, like you can't change the vodka for the beer. You can't change the junk for something else that you're binging when you're still doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So all the people that come to my program or come working with me, I know where they are. I've been there. I know the sadness and they're desperate. They think it won't work. It will, but you got to have a plan.
Yeah, and I think if they do the work to figure out why, like the things you were talking about, like have awareness as to why they're doing that, right? And dig into those childhood traumas and issues and figure out why. I think like the awareness and really doing that inner work, that really helps with everything too.
Yeah, but that's just the beginning. That's just
Yeah.
separating food from using it to suppress this stuff. Afterwards, you still got to deal with this shit. You still got to
Mm-hmm.
go inner work. And inner work is such a loose term, right? It literally means healing from trauma, healing from emotional damage, healing from any type of relationship to negative usage of food in relation to emotions and things like that. So you got
Mm-hmm.
to find for that, and then you got to work through that.
Mm-hmm.
That's very important. You need help with that too.
It's
And
so
once you do
true.
that, they can never be addicted to anything.
Yeah.
But
And
that
do
takes
you
work.
It does. It takes work and it's worth it because there's a whole other life on the other side of everything, right? Like, look at you and the difference in your life compared to before. Like, it's totally worth putting, there's nothing more important than taking care of yourself, I feel like, truly.
Nothing, no. But I think a lot of people in nowadays, I had this myself too, as I thought I wasn't worth it because I couldn't, I couldn't function the way I did. I wasn't worth it. This is also childhood stuff, man. I always thought I'm not good enough. I don't deserve things. Other people are better. This, that. That's also things that you need to work on. But that starts with literally saying enough is enough. I'm gonna do this for me. And if you just want to do a juice fast to lose some weight or whatever, get more vitalized, go for it. But if you have
Mm-hmm.
food addiction or you have really bad health problems, you got to stick with this for a little bit, 3, 4 months, most likely. You got to do it for you. I have a lot of people that come to me and they tell me like, yeah, I want to do this and I want to be better. So, who are you doing? Are you doing it for someone else or image or what you should be? You got to do it for you.
Mm-hmm.
So you reach that point where you're like, enough is enough. Then the magic can happen. Until you're not willing, and it's not gonna happen.
Yeah. So true. Well, amazing. There's so much depth to you, and I've loved hearing your story. Do you feel like there's anything else we missed that you want to share about your story or any other advice for somebody maybe struggling out there to end things off? And then also let us know where everybody can find you. And I'll link everything down below too for you.
So yeah, people can find me on Instagram, find me on YouTube. They can also watch my free webinar on like how to overcome food addiction with a juice fast. It's there
Mm-hmm.
too. I'll link to you too. The main thing I want to convey to people is you're not alone. This seems like a lonely journey, especially when you compare it to like people in your social environment or friends or family. They think you're whack. But you're not alone. Like there's Facebook groups with 10,000 people in there doing juice fasting. There's programs like mine, there's programs from others, there's coaches and things. Support is key in your journey. And don't think you're alone. Don't think you're the only one going through this. That's what I thought with food addiction. That's only me. No, there's thousands of people out there and they all understand
Mm-hmm.
you. Connect with them. And if you need help, get it. Me, someone else, doesn't really matter who, get
Mm-hmm.
help. And understand that you can overcome it. You got to do it the right way. You got to do it for you. And drink enough juice.
Mm-hmm.
Don't no juice and make sure that you're prepared. And to motivate you to do it, everybody has dreams, everybody has aspirations. I had them, they're still the same, maybe a little bit more expensive now. Close your eyes, sit somewhere quiet, and just imagine the life you want. Feel it, and then use that feeling and go back as many times as you need to, because that's what you're doing it for. And remember that. If you have to, tape yourself talking to your future self or something that you did it and accomplished it, do it for you. And if you really want to do it, go away. Because then when you're free, you don't have to look back. It really is a different life out there. But if I can do it, you can do it. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, anyone else can do it. Like anyone can do this. But if you need help or resources or anything, just find it. It's out there. You're not alone.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. And one other thing I just thought of because people might ask, was there a noticeable weight loss when you did the juice fast? Like you from your weight before being like addicted to food and junk food, and then when you did your juice fast or like versus after? Because I didn't ask about weight and people might wonder.
So when I did bodybuilding at the peak, I weighed 220, so that's 100, so 96 kg.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 5'9", so that's like 177 centimeters or something. When I switched to just basically all the other diets and stuff, I lost a lot of weight. And
Mm-hmm.
I lost a lot of weight because I had malabsorption, so I didn't absorb anything. That's when
Mm-hmm.
I lost all my weight. And after about 8 months, it started bouncing back. But then on the juice fast, I still lost like 22 pounds or 10 kg of just stuff coming out of me. For me, it wasn't that much because I already was raw for quite a while, even though I was binging out of control and stuff. I was still fasting and doing raw foods. But I've had clients, you won't believe, like tiny ladies, like they're maybe 5'3" or something, and they have 25 to 40 pounds come out.
I
It's
believe it.
incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're losing fat too. And then the most I've ever seen was one woman. She went from like 280 to like 165 or something. She chose a little longer. Yeah, the dramatic, like really before and after picture is not even the same person. But
Wow.
here's another thing. A lot of people go in with weight loss mentality. Cardinal sin, because what you're doing then is you're going to restrict calories because you want to lose weight. But then
Mm-hmm.
one of the big mistakes, right? Like you're not getting in all the calories you need, you're not getting the nutrients in, you're limiting yourself. You're going to feel like garbage. And what are you going to eat then? You're going to eat garbage. So
Mm-hmm.
you want yourself as much nutrition as possible, as many calories, feel good, do this for a prolonged basis, and then get better and get rid of these foods that are causing you problems, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So weight loss, yes, it always happens. I have a lot of women that come to me for coaching and they talk more about weight loss than the men. Don't come from that perspective. You're gonna lose weight, forget the weight now, get your health, get rid of the food addiction, the weight's gonna come off. But don't go in with that mentality because you're probably gonna binge out of control even faster if you do it.
Yeah. So true. Absolutely. Well, you're amazing. I appreciate you coming on. This has been great. I've loved hearing your story, and I just feel like you have so much depth, like I said, and wisdom and expertise. And I think I did see the video you're talking about with everything to do with Juice Fast. So I'll try put that on the screen right now so people can just link to that and then link to your channel as well. And everybody go follow Nathan. He's amazing. And I'll link everything down below. Subscribe to this channel if you don't already for more awesome interviews just like this one. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.
Bye bye.